In this video, I would like to show you how the balance test look like and how to interpret. Some of you maybe done the test, but others maybe are thinking about it, or they need to take another test after 120 days. So here I want to go through one test to show you how to interpret and what all of that means, all the values. So BalanceTest is a test of 11 different fatty acids. And the main thing everyone is focusing on is the balance between omega-6 and omega-3. In this case, is 13:1. So that's omega-6 to omega-3, 13:1. Ideally should be 3:1 or less. And that's really essential for our cells to work properly. We have to have that right ratio. If its ratio is high, that means that it's going to be high inflammation and the cells cannot work properly. So that's the first one. The colors are indicating that it's 13:1, that it's too much omega-6. The second one is the protection value, which talks about your cardiovascular health, and that is showing in red, and ideally should be between 90 to 100. So there is insufficient protection value. One thing is the ratio between omega-6 and the other one is actually omega-3 itself, because there is different types of that omega-3. So it shows you here that omega-3 are insufficient. So they should be 8% or more, but here we've got 3.2, so they are lacking. Mental strength is to do with our brain, and our brain is made of fatty tissue, and in order to have a good brain function and avoid things like dementia or Alzheimer's and problems with the brain, we need to have enough fats. So that the ratio also has to be right, and the best is 1:1 or less, and here it's 2.9:1, so it's not very bad, but it's obviously too high. And this is the one which I'm constantly referring to, which is cell membrane fluidity. And that's super, super important, because what we want the cell membrane to be fluid, and we want the cell membrane to be soft, and we want that to, the nutrients to be absorbed nicely, oxygen, water, the receptors on the cells have to work properly, and then the waste needs to leave as well. But when the cell membrane is rigid, anybody who is in red knows that cell membrane is rigid, then the cell cannot work properly, and this is where inflammation starts from. So here we've got the next one, which is arachidonic acid, which is omega-6 acid, and that is basically telling us that this particular type of omega-6 is correct, which is great. And omega-6 are also very important, and arachidonic acid is part of the fatty acid membrane, cell membrane, so it's very important. So in this case, it's actually good levels of arachidonic acid. And here we've got all those different types, saturated fats, monopolysaturated, different types, omega-9 and 6 and 3. And it's very important to understand that. So here, if we look at palmitic acid, it's too high. If we looking at the stearic acid, it's too low. And later on in this report, they're telling you what food sources are for all those particular different fats, which is really cool, because we can look it up, which ones we lacking or which ones we have too much of, and then we can adjust our diet. So omega-9 in this case is a bit too much. Omega-6 is, in case of linoleic acid, is too much. And the others are really good. But if we look at omega-3, which is very, very important, we can see that all of them are very low. So alpha-linoleic acid is low, 21%. EPA, which is crucial for our circulation, is very low, 78%, too low. And then we've got DPA, 30% low, and DHA, which is the most important one for our brain, 42% deficient. So if we adjust our diet and we supplement with balance oil, that will definitely regulate itself. So that's why it's so crucial to do that. And as I said, there is also lots of explanation in this test, which is really good because you don't have to see practitioner. You can just read all of this information, and that will give you all the understanding you need about this test. So that's why I really like that. And here they explaining more about all these different red and yellow and green values, cell membrane fluidity, protection value, all of those things that I was talking about is explained in details. And this is a guide how to change the diet, which is really, really good that they're doing this, because then we need to say, all right, what are the sources of saturated fats of omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, all of those different fats. And more explanation. So there's a lot of information here. And because it's so crucial to learn this, I'm really glad that all this information is included. And again, we've got sources of all of those different types of fats. So if someone is, let's say, lacking DGL, which is dehomogamma-linoleic acid, then we can say, it's present in evening primrose oil and black currant seeds. So we can then have that, and so on. So we can find out which ones are which food sources we have to focus on. And let's say with DHA, we've got fatty fish, we've got liver of white fish, seafood and algae, and obviously Zinzino balanced products, which are the easiest way to take the omega-3, and we know that quality is superb. So here again, there's more explanation about that ratio, which is so crucial, about the prostaglandin synthesis, what is oxidative stress in health, and then more explanation about the balance oil, and then the references. So it's a super cool test. I really, really like it. If you haven't done it, I think it's really important for you to do. But if you've done it already and the ratio was not correct, then in 120 days, you should be doing this test again to correct the value. So I hope that that was helpful and that you are able to understand this test better now.